Hello, welcome. It's Wednesday, June 10th. It's also Wednesday of the 10th week in Ordinary Time, as the Church tells time anyway. Thanks for joining us today. This week, the Church presents to us the prophet Elijah, First Book of Kings, 17, 18, and 19, the chapters there, worthy reading. It also presents to us the Gospel, the Sermon on the Mount from Matthew, beginning in chapter 5. Curl up if you haven't to some of those stories. Today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about Elijah, a prophet, a great prophet, one of our great prophets. He did some very unusual things. It was almost impossible not to notice what Elijah said and did. They call that perhaps prophetic action. Well, here's stories. This was a time when the people of Israel wandered away from God, and Elijah stood firm that he was only professing belief in one God, whereas many people were professing belief in other gods, and they had fallen away, but he wanted to call them back. And so we hear the stories this week about Elijah, who the Lord directed him to a place where he would find water, and then ravens would bring him bread and meat in the morning and the evening. Quite unusual. And then when that waterbed dried up in this time of famine and drought, he found his way to another village where the Lord had set aside a widow to care for him. She did not know it at the time, but she did. As he entered the city, he encountered her and said, "Please bring me some water and a little bread." And this widow said, We have food for one more meal for me and my son, and then we will die. And Elijah said, "Do not be afraid." And as the story unravels, the flour and the oil did not run dry for a whole year. God took care of this widow and Elijah the prophet. And then as we move on to the story of today, it's this great, awesome story of action at Mount Carmel, where there were hundreds and hundreds of prophets of Baal, a false god, of the delight of Queen Jezebel at the time and King Ahaz. And they had this big showdown in which Elijah said, "I believe our God is more powerful than your God." And so it was a winner-take-all contest, and we know that action made it crystal clear about Elijah's faithfulness to God. So a prophet. Great stories. What about today? Who speaks? That's what a prophet did. Didn't foretell the future, but spoke on God's behalf to the people of a particular time. And it was an action that could not be missed. It was a powerful action, a bold action. I wonder, could it be that the outcry today of injustices, of racism, and the damage and harm, and the lives that it has crushed for hundreds and hundreds of years, I wonder if that could be a prophetic action. God speaking to us today, that we need to open our eyes and hearts and make choices about our God, the God of Israel for Elijah, but it is our God, the God of Jesus Christ, the one who makes all things new, the one in whom we are taught to love our neighbor. And our neighbor is anyone in need, anyone who is being dismissed, discarded, or disregarded. Elijah was a great prophet. Could be those who peacefully go to our streets being outraged by the evil and sin of racism. Could that be prophetic action today, calling us to our allegiance to one God and to his way of life? Little update this weekend, we will begin having Mass at weekends at 4:30 on Saturday, 7 a.m. on Sunday, 9:15 and 11:15. We will continue to live stream the 9:15 Mass, of course. We will also begin to have Wednesday and Friday morning 7:15 a.m. Masses. And as you know, when we come back, we will be socially distant and things will look a little different, and we'll help you figure all that out when you get there. We'd ask that you would remain in your cars until the outside doors are held open. That will let you know that we've cleaned the church and are ready for you to come. We ask that you come in through the entrance on the National Avenue on the west side of the church, and also the entrance to the north or west of the lobby to the parish center. We will not be entering to the Welcome Center to help us better receive you. And as you come to church, we'll help you find seats as you enter the church. Again, we ask that you keep safe distance, wear a mask, You have opportunity to have hand sanitizer available to you as you come into the church. Again, if you're not feeling well, by all means, stay at home. If you are feeling you might be at risk, stay at home. The Archbishop has suspended the obligation to attend Sunday Mass at least until July 5th. We look forward to gathering in prayer. Ask that you do that. And again, we'd ask, as we are attentive to each other, that you would wear a mask as you come for prayer on Saturday or Sunday. Be well, take care, and God bless.